Welcome in. It's another edition of Where the 99 Lead. I'm Andrew Joyce, your host, and special guest today, Robert Staggs, head softball coach and associate athletic director at the University of Pikeville. Where the 99 Lead, we talk about all things regarding the University of Pikeville, academics and athletics at the university, and of course the program brought to you by the University of Pikeville. Robert Staggs, we go way back. I know most of the information, but for folks that are tuned in, let's have a little historical information. The bio on Robert Staggs and when and how you arrived at the University of Pikeville.
It is history, Andrew.
It is.
we go back a long way. We graduated from Pikeville High School, lived here all my life, went to UPike or Pikeville College back then, and ended up playing some basketball along the way, and got out and got in the real world and decided, I probably need to go back and get a business degree. So went back and started coaching baseball with Wayne Auberry, and then it went from baseball to basketball with Roy Cutright with women, and then went from Roy to Randy Roberts, and then to Bill Watson, and everything in between. So I've been there quite a while.
Been there since about 1980 originally?
I'm going to say probably mid-'80s.
Okay, mid-'80s, and you've been around the athletics program and now head softball coach. You've had many different roles at the university, and now associate athletics director, so involved with a lot of the athletics, a lot of the student athletes at the university. And before we get into specifics about softball, a lot of folks tuned in this time of year may not realize that college softball gets an early start. Games already taking place in February. But before we go there, let's talk about some of the other things that the softball program's involved in. We also want to talk about the student athletes, but we understand there's some community service that goes on among some of the softball players, like a recent mission trip to Haiti.
There is, and let's start out with our with Thanksgiving first. A couple of years ago, we started a Thanksgiving drive, food drive, and one of our senior captains this year came up with the idea, Kayla Morgan, that we should go around the neighborhoods and put bags on doors and ask people to fill those bags up with canned goods or whatever, and so non-perishable items. So excuse me, Andrew, I have a little cold here, so we started going through some neighborhoods doing that, and going back and giving them a couple weeks to fill them up, and we go back and pick them up and take them to the homeless shelter. So we've been involved in that for the past couple of years, and it has grown tremendously over the past 2 years. And with the help from Walmart, they donate the bags to us, and so we'd like to thank the public, the city for helping us, our residents, and then over I think it's Christmas, right after New Year's, I had five young ladies go on a mission trip with a group from the university with Rob Music to Haiti. Had let me see, Caitlin Patrick, Brandy Jo Mullins, Brandy Jo Howard, Sierra Kaiser, who else? Leanna Mullins, and Sarah Kinney went and had a great time. They went down and helped build a school, and actually had one of our young ladies gave their life to the Lord while she was down there, Sierra Kaiser.
Wow!
And it was a great thing, and they came back, and last couple of weeks ago, Sierra was baptized after a 737 service. So it's pretty neat.
Yeah, very, very cool event. I've had a chance to talk with some of the other university students that have been on that trip, and of course, we have to remind folks in 2010, Haiti earthquake ravaged, and there were thousands and thousands of deaths, and I think nearly 1 million people left homeless from that earthquake in 2010. And I understand there are university students that are looking to go back there in the upcoming months on another mission trip, and it seems like no matter what group I talk with the university, there are students involved in these type of projects, whether it be community service on a local level, getting food to the homeless shelter, or more globally, and reaching out to Haiti. And I think that's something that we lose. Folks maybe in the community who see the public events, the sporting events, and they see the students there, and we lose sight that these students are getting a full education by being involved in these events and becoming a whole and complete person.
Well, it's so much more than athletics.
Yeah.
You know, they are student athletes, but it's so much more than athletics. It's community service, getting out and giving back to the people who give to you. And you know, and I know the Haitians don't give anything to UPAC, but they do in a way, because our young people go down there and help them. I can promise you it helps our people a lot more than it helps them.
Absolutely.
And that's what it's about. It's about getting out and helping people.
The students from your softball team that were a part of that mission trip, they're sharing stories from Haiti. They're sharing what they learned there, the people they encountered, the experiences they had, and obviously they'll bring that back to campus, and that further educates the other members of the softball team, the other students that they share dorm life with. And then Sierra Kaiser, as you mentioned, it's changed her life forever, and it's only we can't imagine the many lives that might be touched by her experiences and the life-changing events that she experienced in Haiti. Community service, the softball team involved. Most organizations are. I think it just shows the quality of the student that we have at the University of Pikeville, and their leadership as well. And Robert, we talk about student athletes. I talk to a lot of different athletes on various programs on personal basis, and we always put student first, and there's a reason for that. These are college athletes. Most will never play professional athletics, but they're working on their education to enter the business world, or whatever the case may be. They're entering the workplace. So student needs to come first. I understand the softball program takes that very seriously. How important are grades and balancing studying with sports?
Well, Andrew, I am extremely proud of my team as far as their grades go. We had an overall GPA of a 3.1, and
that's Dean's List material.
That's getting it done in the classroom, and I can't tell you how proud I am of those young ladies. I have a new assistant this year, Heather Arnold, who's taken over our academic stuff, and she makes sure those kids are in class. I mean, she doesn't have to, but she does. She'll go by in the mornings and check classes, and you know, it's kind of comical because you know, some of the instructors will allow you to miss 2 or 3 classes a semester. Well, some of my girls were saving those misses up until the end of the semester.
Yes.
Well, you know, the instructor may allow them to miss a class, but Coach A does not.
Yes.
And so here they're all mad because now, you know, she's going around checking classes, and they better have their tails in the seats in there, or they're in trouble.
Right.
But no, it's you know, I'm extremely proud of them. We make them do 2 hours a week study hall in the library. They sign in, they sign out. And you know, there's repercussions if they don't do that, and I understand that. I have never coached a professional softball player. I never will.
Right.
You know, I want these young ladies, number one, to come and graduate. That's my main goal, is to graduate, get out and be a productive citizen, give back to the community, raise a family. You know, stay here, be involved, get involved back in the university and back in our softball program.
You talk about a mandatory 2-hour-a-week study hall. A lot of these students, they spend a lot more time than that in the books, and that's just the times that they see, because there are some challenging curriculums on the Hill, and I admire athletes because I realize the amount of time they spend traveling when they are at practice, when they're at games, and they don't live a normal schedule, no matter what their class schedule is. They really have to fight some battles. What challenges do students face when the spring semester, softball's underway. You're traveling, you're playing games, conference weekends and things. What kind of challenges do students face to keep up with classes?
Well, our challenges are basically missing classes. And I'll throw baseball in the mix here. Softball and baseball, we're subject to whatever weather is.
Right.
And our season is so short. Our conference tournament is the end of April, so we're having to schedule. I have 28 play dates that I'm allowed to play. Baseball has 50-some games.
Right.
So here I am, trying to schedule all those games, and looking to see how many days they're missing or whatever, and it's tough. And what really gets us is when we start getting bad weather and we have to start making up these games. Sure. And because right now I have the schedule figured out where they're not going to miss a whole lot of class.
Right.
But it never works that way.
Yeah.
And at the first of each semester, or especially the spring, I give them a travel itinerary. They'll get a schedule plus an itinerary, and it tells them exactly what days we're leaving, what time, so they can go around to their instructor and say, all right, I'm going to be gone here, here, and here. I need to make it up. If it's a test, make that test up, or if I can take it early.
Sure.
And or same way with work or homework or whatever. But it's up to each student athlete to get in contact with their instructor and work that out beforehand. But now there are some times when we play non-conference games, which aren't as important, but they're important, but not as important as conference. So there's times when a kid will come up and say, Coach, I have a test I can't miss.
Right.
All right. Can I? Well, of course you're going to stay and take that test because, again, they're not going. She's more than likely not going to be a professional softball player. She's going to graduate. She's going to be a doctor, a lawyer, or a teacher, or whatever, and that's the important thing.
And it's a challenge for you as a coach to schedule practices and those type of things around class schedules as well. And I know student athletes, they look at their practice schedules typically, and they look at class schedules and trying to work that out during registration as well. But that's challenging as well.
It is, and we try to practice every day around 3 o'clock. But now there are some students, are biology majors, and some education majors that have labs or classes after 3. Well, guess what? They miss practice.
Sure.
But that's part of it. I mean, that's part of being a student athlete, and if that's what it takes, then that's what we do.
See a lot of students from time to time on the University of Pikeville softball complex. It appears they're getting some individual work in as well. They miss practice for labs. I think I've seen the dedication of your program and the players involved in your program. They'll do those extra things. If they miss practice for a lab, they'll get their ground balls in, or they'll get their fly balls. They'll get their time in the cage.
They do, and Andrew, we keep a key down on our field, and it's in a combination lock, and all the players know it, so they'll go down on their own and take ground balls. And it's funny because in the fall, I'll drive by and I'll see the lights on. I'm thinking, who in the world's out on our field? Well, I'll have 4 or 5 players out there, and they'll have their boyfriends who are baseball players out hitting them ground balls and stuff. So it's pretty comical. But now they do take it seriously, and they put a lot of work in it.
Softball team, you have both varsity and JV players. Talk about how competitive those positions are and what you expect from the athletes, but from both sides, your varsity players and then your JV players that might be looking to move up to a varsity spot.
Well, we started this JV program a couple of years ago, and when I go out and recruit a kid, and I also tell my returning players that nothing's guaranteed to them.
Sure.
When we get on campus in the fall, I don't have a varsity, I don't have a junior varsity. I have one team.
Sure.
And I'll have 40 to 45 women, young ladies out there, and they're going at it. I mean, it is very competitive, and at the end of that, at the end of the fall, we'll start our conditioning, and then at the end of the conditioning, Coach A and I'll sit down, and I'll give her a roster, and I'll take one, and we'll go our separate ways, and mark who we think deserves to be on varsity and who needs to be on JV. And it was amazing because this year I think we had one different person.
Wow.
And I ended up, she's on varsity. They have no idea who it is, but
Sure.
but we had one girl she thought maybe needed to be on JV, and I thought, no, I think she needs to be on varsity. And so it makes it very competitive. Now, as far as my JV goes, if I have a young lady on varsity that I feel like's dogging it or not doing what she needs to do in the classroom,
Sure.
I'll bring a JV player to my varsity and put the varsity on the JV, and it's just that simple. I just feel like nothing's guaranteed to them. The only thing that I've ever promised the kids is an education,
Right.
and that's basically why they're here.
University of Pikeville softball program season's underway, and let's talk about that. What you're expecting from the 2013 team, and some of the teams that you'll play against this year, maybe outside the conference.
Well, Andrew, we are right now. We started a couple weeks ago. We went down to Virginia Intermont 2 weeks ago, and excuse me, it's the first time we've seen dirt basically all winter, so to speak. Last year in February, we had great weather. We were outside every day. Well,
Right.
I kind of gambled, and sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, and it just so happened that we haven't had very good weather this year,
Right.
and so we went down to Virginia Intermont and Bristol and played and got beat twice and to a very very good Virginia Intermont team. And I wasn't discouraged. You know how it is when you start baseball on February 9th.
Yes.
It's early.
Yes.
So we went down and lost 2 there, and then this past weekend we were scheduled to play Indiana Wesleyan, who is 24th team in the country.
Right.
And I thought I had a pretty good team. I still feel like I have a very good team. And they came in, and we had to cancel on Saturday because of weather.
Sure.
But we got to play one game on Friday. And unfortunately, in the 4th inning, we gave up 11 unearned runs. We got caught in the middle of a rain and snowstorm.
Wow.
Kayla Morgan was pitching. She couldn't grip the ball, and maybe I was kidding with Kayla Bandy this morning. I needed Kayla out there pitching for me because I felt like Kayla Morgan was bowling, and I could have used Kayla Bandy.
Sure.
But it's one of those deals where I feel like if we're on a dry field, we play with them.
Yeah.
But we play Lindsey Wilson, who is the 15th ranked team in the country. Campbellsville and Georgetown are receiving votes. I mean, our conference
It's tough.
It's tough,
Regardless of the sport.
It is tough from top to bottom. People don't understand how tough our conference is. It's a mini SEC basically in football and basketball and even baseball and softball. It is tough. But now my team has put a lot of work in. They have worked their tails off in the weight room, doing conditioning all winter. You can tell we're faster. A lot of the girls are kidding Coach A that they're getting man arms.
Yes.
Because she has them doing so much stuff in the weight room. Well, not necessarily a whole lot of weights, but in the hoops facility, doing Pilates, that kind of stuff,
Right.
and they're going. And I was kidding with them. I said, well, when you hit your first bomb, then complain about it.
Yeah.
But I feel like we have a shot at being a very good team. We're going to compete. I know they won't quit. But now, like I said, our conference is as tough as it gets, and we're all fighting to get to Kingsport this year to our conference tournament. So we'll see how it goes.
There you go. Talking with UPike head softball coach and associate athletics director Robert Staggs. We talk about all things regarding the University of Pikeville. You're tuned to Where the 99 Lead, and as we talk softball, where we live. The weather obviously dictates baseball and softball, and I don't think folks realize you've had a couple of opportunities to play, but how much time has your team had to spend outdoors since coming back from the Christmas break?
Very little, Andrew. We're outside today. It's 50-some degrees outside, and it's nice, but it's going to rain tonight.
Sure.
So we're trying to get outside. We are outside today, but now we have been outside, I'm going to say a total of 5 or 6 times.
Yeah, and then you have to go try to play a game, and you can't replicate a ground ball played on a dirt surface when you're spending time, even in a great facility like the Hoops facility. You've got turf there, a gym floor that we've seen many college baseball and softball teams try to get some work in the off season, and then go out to adjust to the dirt. It's not like Major League Baseball where they have 3-4 weeks of spring training to acclimate before they have to play a game. That's tough to get out, and no matter how good your team is, the first few games, the first couple of weeks, I would imagine, it takes that much for a team to get used to being out there. But some of the other off-season conditioning, does the University of Pikeville softball program, do you have a facility? Do you have somewhere that players can get in the cage and do things during the off-season? It is a lot of weight work. Obviously, I would imagine pitchers and catchers are throwing quite a bit.
They've been throwing pretty much all winter, but no, we do not have an indoor cage right now. We are in the process of working on one. I'd like to get. I've seen one on the internet. It's a inflatable cage, but now that costs quite a bit of money. You can blow it up, put it in the hoops, and it comes in 20-foot sections, so you can arrange that any way you want to, and then when you're finished, you take it down, roll it up, put it in the bag, and go. But that's, again, that's expensive, but we would love to be able to put an indoor cage in there so we can take it up and put down. But we haven't seen a whole lot of live pitching this year. And you're right. The Hoops is a great facility. We're very thankful for it. We can get in there and throw and hit some ground balls and do some drills and tee work, that kind of stuff, soft toss. But we really can't. You're right as far as the getting out on dirt. You know as well as I do that. It's a little different. It's a lot different. And fly balls.
Absolutely, fly balls. I think about the judgment of those because you can't copy that.
Exactly. But again, it's only the middle of February. Yeah. And there's no reason at all to start pressing the panic button now. We have plenty of games to go, and we are going to get better. And I'm really looking forward to this season.
When's conference schedule start?
We actually start playing this Saturday.
Wow.
We play UVA Wise here at 1 o'clock. It was originally scheduled for the middle of March, but it was their spring break. And they're going to Florida, and so they called and asked if we could move it, and I said, "Well, sure." We work well with other conference teams, and we all work together to get around spring break, and so we're going to open up with them this Saturday. So it should be interesting.
February 23rd. What time's first pitch?
1 o'clock.
1 o'clock. We want to encourage folks to come out and see the UPike women's softball team this Saturday, February 23rd at 1. Doubleheader with UVA Wise.
All our games are doubleheaders.
There you go. So you can come out and support the UPike women looking to get their first wins of the year, and hopefully we'll be able to peel the tarp back and actually be out on the dirt. Looking forward to a great season, and looking forward to following your Bears softball team. Robert, also before we wrap up, and we talked about softball, obviously. Robert Staggs, head softball coach, also associate athletics director at the University of Pikeville, and the lacrosse program, the newest program to the University of Pikeville. They're getting ready to begin their inaugural season as well. Let's talk about that for just a bit.
Well, we have a new coach right now. It's Allie Jost. Came from, I believe, somewhere up in Maryland, like Mount St. Joe, something like that. I can't remember where. She'll kill me.
That's all right.
But we had an issue with Erica Erb, who was our original coach. She lost a brother, unfortunately, right before Christmas, and decided she needed to be home with her family, and that's understandable.
Right.
So Erica left us, and we hired Allie, and she's working very hard with those young ladies. They open up first part of March, I believe.
Right.
Now you're talking about a travel schedule. They're going from Georgia to Tennessee up to Michigan to Ohio. They're going all over the place.
Wow.
So it's going to be exciting. It'll be fun to watch. Absolutely.
And lacrosse, it's a new sport for our region, and I know a lot of folks, they'll get their first look at lacrosse, so we'll look forward to that. Watch the schedule. You can check that at www.upike.com. www.upike.edu and go to athletics. Robert Staggs, best of luck this softball season to you and your UPike softball team.
Andrew, thank you for having me.
Great to have you as always, and you've been tuned to Where the 99 Lead with UPike head softball coach Robert Staggs, also associate athletics director, our guest on this edition of Where the 99 Lead. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Andrew Joyce, your host. This program's been brought to you by the University of Pikeville, the leading university of Central Appalachia.